Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing tonight? Just let me know if you guys can see me. Okay. So who do we have? I see Janessa, Bryn, partners, Stacy, Leslie, Jennifer, Audrey. Oh my God, so much love. Ask Alice. Hello to everybody. Okay. Amanda, can you see me? I'm counting on you. Okay. So tonight I wanted to discuss the Yuba County 5 case. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but if anyone has been over onto Natasha's channel lately, we've been discussing the Dyatlov Pass incident. The Yuba County 5 is considered the American Dyatlov Pass incident. So it's a really bizarre case that is still unsolved. And I'd like to just bring some awareness to it for anyone who doesn't know about it. And maybe at the end, we can discuss it and see if anyone has had any theories. Hi, Kathy Joe. See if anyone has had any theories. I know, there's a lot that's going on Reddit. There's always some crazy rabbit hole. So yeah, I guess let's get started. So the Yuba County 5 case is in regards to 5 men. They were between the ages of 24 and 32. Now, these 5 men all had mental challenges, but they were all considered high functioning. There was Theodore, who was 32, Jackie, who was 24, William, who was 28, Jack, who was 30, and Gary, who was 25. One of them, William, was a volunteer at a mental institution. Jack, who was 30, was a U.S. Army veteran and served in Vietnam. And Gary also used to serve in the Army, but he was currently out on disability. So just to get an idea of this, yes, these men all had mental disabilities, but they served in the war. They were all high functioning. These 5 men met each other through the Gateway Project. The Gateway Project was a Yuba County day project for people in the community with disabilities. They all played basketball together. On February 24th, 1978, preparing for a basketball game in the Special Olympics, they all went to the game and they had a great time. They left around 10 p.m. together. They left in Jack's car. Jack was the only one who drove this car. He loved his car, he cherished it, and he would never let anyone else drive it. They stopped for snacks. They got some candy bars, some chips, but hours had passed and they never arrived home. The more time that passed, the more worried their families became. They contacted the police, and 4 days after their disappearance, they found Jack's car 40 miles away from Chico in an area you'd have to go out of your way to get to it. The road this was on was very windy, very dangerous, and it was filled with snow. The conditions were awful. And technically, this road was closed due to the conditions, but it wasn't blocked off, so it was still accessible. These men were not familiar with this area whatsoever. There was no reason for them to be out there, and it was just overall strange. This road was a dirt road in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of nowhere. When they found the car, they didn't see any signs of a struggle. there was still a quarter tank of gas inside the car. And there were empty snack wrappers. There was 10 inches of snow on the ground. So when they found the car was technically stuck. So the wheels were just constantly spinning in the same place. People considered, well, were they chased up there? What were they doing? That it was so far out of their way. There was no reason for them to be up there to begin with. What would lead them to go to this random road that you'd have to know about to get to? But the car was in such good condition. Like I said, there was no sign of struggle whatsoever. Several search teams were deployed, even including search dogs, but they didn't find anything. And eventually they had to call off the searches because the conditions were just that bad. A tip was called in eventually from a 55-year-old man named Joseph Shones, who claimed he was there the exact same night that the men were. He arrived there around 5:30 p.m. He said he was in that area because he was thinking about taking his wife and daughter camping or hiking, so he wanted to check out what it was like. But his car got stuck. While he was working on his car, he suffered a heart attack. He decided he cannot try to continue getting this car out under his health conditions, so he just stayed in his car, cranked up the heat, and waited. He was fearing death at this point. His car was parked about 150 feet away from where the men's car was found. While he was sitting in his car at nighttime in the middle of nowhere, he started to hear whistling. Well, obviously he got out of his car because he just had a heart attack. He's sitting in his car stuck and he's searching for help. When he got out of the car, he saw something very strange. He saw 5 men with 1 woman and a baby. 5 men, 1 woman, and a baby walking through the mountains in 10 inches of snow during a blizzard. He called out to them. He needed help, please. I'm stuck, like I just suffered a heart attack. But they just continued to not acknowledge him and walk along. He noticed 2 cars. One was a pickup truck. But eventually he just said, the lights from their cars dimmed out. They didn't pay any attention to me. Now, I find that strange. And I'm sure many people do. What was this random guy doing out in the middle of nowhere, suffered a heart attack, and saw something as bizarre as that the same exact night that the Yuba County 5 boys went missing? But his heart attack was confirmed. His story did line up. He did have trouble recalling the stories, whether it be because he had just had a heart attack, he was in a traumatic state. We don't know, but he did his best to provide whatever information he could to authorities. His car ended up running out of gas because he was sitting in it all night, running the heat. He walked 8 miles to the cabin that he was staying at. Along his walk, he did pass Jack's car. It was empty. He didn't see anything strange about it. 3 months later, on June 4th, as the temperatures started to get warmer and the snow began to thaw, the first body was found. Motorcyclists were in the area, and they came upon a deserted regional park services trailer camp. As soon as they got into that area, they immediately smelled something foul. They never smelled something like that in their entire life, but they immediately contacted authorities. When authorities got there, the trailer was locked, but there was a window that was broken. When they went inside, they found Ted's body frozen on a bed, slowly thawing out. There were 8 sheets placed over his body in a very strange and methodical way, in a way that they do not expect Ted to have wrapped himself in. His boots were missing, nowhere to be found. They found his ring, wallet, and necklace on the nightstand beside him. But they also found a gold watch, which did not belong to him or any of the other men. Initially, Ted was 200 pounds at the time of his disappearance. When they found him, he was 100 pounds. He had frostbite on his feet, and he slowly died from starvation. He had a beard about 1 inch long, and they claim that he survived for 8 to 13 weeks. This trailer was 19 miles from where Jack's car was initially found. 19 miles in severe whiteout blizzard conditions. How he got from the car to that trailer is not known. There were matches and plenty of wood within that trailer to make a fire, but none were used. They did find some empty cans of military food that they assumed Ted did eat. But there were also massive sheds that surrounded that trailer that contained dehydrated meals and fruit. Enough meals to last the boys years. Nothing was touched. There was a propane tank that could have simply been turned on to produce heat to the trailer, but it was never touched. The next day, on June 5th, they found what was left of the bodies of Jack and William. They were a bit further up the road from where the trailer was. Jack's body was by a stream, but it was evident that animals had devoured his body. William was completely decomposed. His skeletal remains scattered around 50-foot area. 2 days later, on June 7th, Jackie's body was found. Jackie's father found his own son's spine. Gary's body was never discovered, but his shoes were found in the trailer. Families believe perhaps they witnessed something in the parking lot of that game, that basketball game, that they were not supposed to. And possibly they were chased up the road, and for whatever reason, they got out. But nothing accounts for how did they make that entire 19 miles to the trailer. That trailer had heat. They had enough dehydrated meals to last them years. Years they could have survived out there. What happened? And there's still no answer to this day. It's extremely odd. And the strangest thing, like I said, was hold on, sorry. you know, like to go into that cabin and to realize he's been alive for 8 to 13 weeks. 8 to 13 weeks. Okay? And he didn't turn on the heat. He didn't go out and go into the sheds, which contained enough meals to last them years. And he slowly died of starvation. There was matches, there was wood, they could have survived. What made them split up? What made them go there in the first place? But why wouldn't they utilize all the stuff that they had? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you guys heard of this case before? Do you know anything about it? Have you never heard of it? Do you guys have any theories? If I recall, it was weird because there wasn't that much snow, so they couldn't push the car out from where it got stuck. And the police didn't know why the men had left it or how the 4 died. Yeah, well, there was 5, but yes. Oh, thank you so much, Caitlin. So I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up and discuss it. But I'd like to hear what you guys think because it is so bizarre. Like I said, yes, these men did struggle, you know, like with a mental disability, but they were high functioning. And 2 of them were in war. They were in the Vietnam War. They know how to handle themselves. They would have known survival skills. It's just, it's very strange. So if anybody wants to come up, but yeah, I haven't heard of this, but certainly is bizarre. It's extremely bizarre. Exactly. It's odd that they had resources to live, but didn't use them. Why didn't they all stay in the trailer? Why didn't they all stay? And what happened to Ted's boots? Like, it's just, but can you imagine being a father out searching for your son and you find a little piece of his spine? Like, it's heartbreaking. No, it doesn't make sense. You're right, Stacy. And we don't know, Audrey, who left the gold watch. All we know is that it wasn't any of the men's. Mental malfunctioning. Well, like I said, they were just at the basketball game. They just played for the Special Olympics, and they were all in good spirits. And they stopped at the gas station. They grabbed some snacks. We know that they ate the snacks because we found the wrappers in the car. But what would make them go so far out of their way into nowhere, in the middle of nowhere? And exactly, Stacy. So all we have is this man who was a witness, and he just so happened to get stuck out there himself. And what he witnessed is bizarre. So he heard whistling. So he, you know, and you have to you realize the setting. They're out in the middle of nowhere, these mountains, a whiteout blizzard, 10 inches of snow, nothing. There's nothing around you. So to be sitting in your car after you just suffered a heart attack, stuck, and you hear whistling, and of course you're going to jump outside and you're going to be like, who is that? You know, please help me. I'm stuck. I need medical attention. And to see 5 men, a woman, and a woman holding a baby, walking in the snow. What? Like, I'd have to question, was he straight up hallucinating? Like, and for them to not even acknowledge him, they just went on. He remembers 2 cars, one being a pickup, and he just remembers the image of the lights dimming away as they drove away from him. Yeah, he was crying out for help. Yes, Bryn. No, Kelly, there were not multiple tracks up to the car. Oh, I'm sorry. Were there multiple tracks up to the car, like from the trunk and the heart attack guy? No, I'm not sure. I'll look into that though. Exactly, partners in crime. How on earth did he walk so far after suffering a heart attack? And it's not even he walked 8 miles. He walked 8 miles in 10 inches of snow with those winds. Like, you have to remember, this road was technically shut down because of how awful the conditions were. But it's just, was it a credible source that said there was a lady with a baby? Why would a woman be walking in the snow with a baby in that weather? Well, exactly, Janessa. The credible source is that man who, like I said, they checked out his story. They did bring him to the hospital. They were able to confirm he did, in fact, suffer a heart attack. And they eventually went back and got his car. So now, was he intentionally lying? I don't think so. Did he actually see that? Maybe. Did it happen or did he hallucinate it? I don't know. Correct, Mia. It does sound like a hallucination, but then again, his story of their abandoned car's location checked out, right? Yes, that is correct. Hey, tattoos. Yes, Bryn. Yes, they turned off the flashlight after he cried for help. Oh, so Bryn, you're familiar with it. Hi, Michelle. It's just so. Two of them were part of the army. They were trained. They would know what to do in those situations. You think the boys got conned by someone? Probably, because there's no other reason to account for why they would go there in the first place, why they would abandon their car, which still had gas in it, and start walking. They knew better than that. Hey, Robbie. Hey, Mama Bear. Yes, they have survival skills. And two of the men who were in the army had special designated can openers. And Ted, who was found in the trailer, those few cans that they did find of food that he ate, was opened with one of those can openers, but it wasn't his. So they know he had to be together at some point. But why would they separate? They had everything they could have needed in that trailer. They had kerosene for heat. They had matches. They had shelter. They had wood. And they had sheds surrounding them of enough dehydrated food to last them for years. And it really is unfortunate because the little bit of remnants of their bodies after animals, devoured them, that you can't really determine a cause of death. Yes, they were on the mountains, Annalisa. Well, that's correct. They weren't in snow gear. They left that night to go to a basketball game. Did you just message me a Catherine McPhee song, Robbie? But they left that night to go to a basketball game. So they were not in boots and, jackets and stuff. They were in the car. It's one of those cases that you can't even think of a plausible theory. They didn't find a struggle near that car, because that was my main question. Well, how did that car appear? Did it appear like there was some kind of struggle? Can you see any marks going on? And they said no. And even if 4 of the men got out of that car, they easily would have been able to lift it and get it unstuck. They may have been corpses when they got to the trailer. Okay, Bryn. But again, they were able to determine from Ted, from his facial hair growth, okay, He had about an inch of facial hair, and you don't get frostbite once you die. So they were able to determine he survived for 8 to 13 weeks. 8 to 13 weeks. So even if they were corpses by the time they got to the church, where were they held? Because they were alive somewhere. Sorry, Janessa. If you mentioned this, but they all eat the same snacks from the store they had stopped at. They stopped at and they got a variety of like candy bars and stuff. We're not sure who ate which one. No, the woman and baby or the 5 men were never found. Okay, break the silence. It's just, these are the cases that really intrigue me. These are the cases that you can't figure out any plausible theory. What would cause, like, unless they witnessed something that night, unless they saw something outside of the basketball game or perhaps at the rest stop where they went to get snacks, but they survived for 8 to 13 weeks. So that's the part that doesn't make sense. Yes, Bryn, the snacks were eaten. All that was left was like a half of one of the candy bars. So it's just, I don't know. It's these cases that really make me, like question if something, I don't want to say paranormal, but something beyond our understanding is occurring. The way he was wrapped up. Okay, so he was, when they found him on the bed, he was wrapped, they said methodically, with about 8 sheets. And he was placed, it almost seemed like he was placed, and it almost could have been spiritualistic. It does not appear as if he put those sheets on himself. They were wrapped around his body in a very methodical way. How did they survive on just, well, they didn't survive on just snacks. Inside the cabin, like I said, they did find a couple of cans of food that were already in the trailer. And like I said, it was opened with their military assigned can opener. It wasn't Ted's, the one who was inside the trailer. It was one of the other ones. But for whatever reason, they never went to go outside because outside of that trailer, there's huge storage bins. And inside those storage bins contained years worth of dehydrated food and fruits. Months, Cheryl. So initially, let me see, it was February 24th, 1978, when they first initially went missing. And it was June 7th when the last of the body was recovered. But one has still never been recovered. We've only been able to recover 4 of the bodies. Yeah, they were in the total wrong direction that they were supposed to be headed, Stephanie. Yes, mid-70s. Well, that's true, Bryn. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's something simple, like a logical explanation, whether it be they got chased? Oh, I really can't see any theory I try to place. It doesn't account for everything that doesn't add up. Of course, Stephanie. I'll drop it again. Anybody could come up on panel if they'd like. Yeah, Stacy. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm lovely.
So what are you thinking?
I'm gonna try to turn the volume off down and see if I can still keep my TV on. Okay. Do you hear echo?
No. Do you
Okay,
guys
cool.
hear any echo in the chat? You sound good to me.
Okay, good. Then I didn't get to watch the chat the last time because you can't watch it from your phone that you're on. But I can watch it on my TV. Okay. So, but I can't hear you on my phone.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, I
Yes.
wasn't
Okay.
talking.
Okay. Okay. So, my question is, okay, so they went totally in the wrong direction that of the plan.
Yes.
So, how far are we talking? Like that wasn't like 40 miles?
Let me go back to my notes.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. This is what we're here for. Okay, so let me see. It was 70 miles from Chico, which is the area that they should have been.
Okay.
Bryn, yes, it is Gary, the one who's still missing, the 25-year-old who used to serve in the army but was currently out on disability.
And so he is out. He's not, they've never recovered his body.
Correct.
Okay.
But they did recover his tennis shoes, which were back in the trailer.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Did they all at one time go to the trailer together?
We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, the other 3 bodies were found right up the road from the trailer, just on the opposite side. So they did speculate that, yes, they were in the trailer at some point because, like I said, one of their shoes were in there also.
So I think about 5 men in their 20s. What are they out wanting to do on the weekend? Get chicks, right? Like if they're all single, they want to meet chicks. And then you said they were playing basketball for Special Olympics or something?
Yes, I mean, they all were from the ages 24 to 32, but they all did, suffer from mental challenges and mental disabilities. So I'm not sure.
But they still have those urges.
That is true. That is true.
So it makes me wonder if somebody was saying, hey, if you pay us money, we can, get you these girls. And that would be like for a guy that they're probably not having a lot of sex with other people, but you know what I mean? If they are, I don't want to say mentally handicapped, I want to say mentally um I can't think of the proper way to say that. Um mentally stunted or
Mentally
uh,
challenged.
mentally challenged. Yeah, I was trying to come up with something because that makes people think like they, are missing all their
No, they
chromosomes.
were very smart. They were high functioning.
Right. If they could be in the Special Olympics, you have to be. So,
And they all met through the Gateway Project, which, like I said, it was a Yuba County day project for people in the community with disabilities.
okay, my daughter used to be in something like that. She
Yeah,
went to she went to it for. I mean, she didn't have. This is the word I was looking for. Deficits.
deficits. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. But my daughter didn't have the mental deficit, but her bipolar made it. So she just seemed weird to her regular people and her at her age. So those people that were mentally deficit, she could relate to. So she used to go to group like that and like every day, and it gave her a social life until she could meet friends out there that would accept her for who she was. So the, anyway, so that's what my kind of how I feel. Like, what if that's what they were doing? Somebody said, hey, if you come to this trailer or you come to this area, we'll fix you up with these girls. And that's what the plan was. But then the snow came and everything got, maybe the girls were originally in the trailer, or maybe there were never going to be girls and they just wanted their money, you know. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It was just a thought, because I'm like, that's boys that age. That's stuff they want to do at that age.
No, absolutely. It's just the part where, okay, like, let's play devil's advocate here. Let's play that scenario happened. Their car was found 19 miles. How much was it from the trailer? A huge distance from the trailer. So if they, it would have had to been someone in another vehicle, because there's 5 of them. That one vehicle would have been packed. Unless they got out of their vehicle once it got stuck and got into someone else's vehicle, because there was no track marks or anything near their car where it was found to, like, that would look like there was any type of a struggle whatsoever. But there is speculation that when the car was found, the 2 back rear windows were rolled down halfway, which is strange because it was absolutely freezing out. Why would the back windows be rolled down? But that was never documented in a report. So that's technically hearsay.
Could that have been because if they had the mom and
Kelly, it was Jack. Jack owned the car that the boy was in, and he was the only one who would drive the car. It was his pride and joy. But go on, Steph.
But if they actually, at that time, if they had the mother and the child in the car, if they picked this lady up in the room, they might have had to roll down those back windows, because to have more room, like, arm arm room, and somebody's head kind of had to probably go outside of the window.
Well, I was kind of thinking what Kelly just said. Perhaps those windows were rolled down because they were talking to someone, like,
That,
what do?
yeah.
You roll down the window, you start to talk to someone. But like I said, it was just odd because, yes, although the car was stuck in the snow, that there was no traction. So, when they put their foot on the gas, the tires would just spin. But even if 1 or 2 of them had just gotten out of that car, they would have been able to lift it right up and they would have been able to continue driving. Also, what was strange is they said it appeared that whoever was driving that car was experienced driving in those types of conditions. Yet Jack or none of those men had any experience driving in that area, let alone under those conditions. And like I said, this was a dirt road in the middle of nowhere that was covered with a blizzard and 10 inches of snow.
So I wonder if the boys came upon the woman with her child alone.
Like it
And
was a setup.
no, it might have just been her boyfriend got in a fight, he kicked him out of the car, or she's lost. I don't know what the reason would be, but she was like, I need help. And that's how they come in the picture. And that's why the windows are
Okay,
down.
but
They're
where
talking.
would that have occurred? Would that have occurred back at where they stopped for snacks? Because it doesn't occur. It doesn't make sense if that occurs where they were found, because what the hell were they doing there to begin with? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it could have been anywhere in between. Or maybe they're the reason. Maybe when they meet this mom and child, they are the ones that say, hey, can you take me to this place, which would have been out of their way. And then they end up having to walk to this trailer. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm following what you're saying. I just don't think that. Hmm.
And maybe they were all and just try to find the closest place.
But like I said, closest place for what? Because they still had a quarter tank of gas in the car. it made no sense for them to abandon that car whatsoever. So you're just going to start to walk. How many miles was it? Geez, it was so many miles. 70. Well, it was 70 miles out of their way, but it was it was 8 miles from the car to the cabin. 8 miles. 8 miles is a lot to walk.
So I wonder if they went to the cabin and somebody needed to go, needed to borrow the car. Somebody that had already been at the trailer before they got there and said, "Man, can I use your car? I need to get my wife and child." And the guy let him borrow his car, and he went back. I don't
Wait,
know.
say that theory again?
I'm trying to see how that would work. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, you're playing around with ideas.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't they have just gone? Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't have just driven. There had something stopped them there. Why
Well,
they couldn't
something
go any
brought them
further.
there. It's not so much, like I go back to don't even speculate why they left the car. Speculate why was the car there to begin with. It makes no sense whatsoever. They were never supposed to be there. After the game, they stopped for snacks. They were supposed to go home. At some point between then and now, they were out in the middle of nowhere, 70 miles outside of Chico, in an area that they are not familiar with, on a road that was technically closed down due to extreme conditions. And why were they there? Something had to have brought them there. Someone may have chased them up there, or I don't know, because this brings me into, many discussions that I'll be doing with like the 411 disappearances and how a 2-year-old will go disappearing in one spot. A parent will turn around and their 2-year-old will just be missing. And then they'll find that 2-year-old 8 miles away in less than 2 hours. Impossible for that 2-year-old to make an 8-hour, go 8 miles on its own, let alone in those conditions. It doesn't add up. And these are one of the cases where it doesn't add up for me.
So it has to be foul play. Somebody somebody would have had to come in and make it where they had to go out of their way, and then and also say the car stops here and you're going with us, is what I see. Or they get so far, maybe they'd even make it up to, maybe they said, "Hey, we're going to this trailer," dropped them off at the trailer and took their car, and then bounced it out, like took it wherever they needed to go, and then parked the car there, just like left it, since they stole the car, and just parked it on the side of the road.
Okay, but the only place that we know that they stopped was like to stop and get the snacks, and the snacks were eaten. So if they took that car and bounced out, how did they still end up in that area?
I wonder if the gas station is where somebody abducted them or forced them to drive them somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly, Mickey. So strange to abandon the vehicle. That was their livelihood. It still contained a quarter tank of gas, and they would be easily able to lift that vehicle up and get it out from being stuck. It's not like it was really stuck in there.
And I wonder if they were on drugs. They didn't have the ability, the capacity to make that decision.
Okay, sure, Jennifer. Of course you could come up. You need me to drop the link again? But for what purpose? You know?
That
Yeah, they did.
being with
Kelly,
some bad,
hold on.
somebody is out there and says, "Hey, we can mess with these people because they are mentally challenged," and give them, get them high or whatever, and it's a joke to these other people, thinking it's funny to get these special needs kids high, and now they end up dead because they can't, they have no they have not now they have no ability to make any rash decisions.
Perhaps because I'd like to say they found nothing in their autopsies, but
But
they
but
survived
the
13 weeks. So it wouldn't have
yeah,
been an
that's what
them anyway.
I mean. All the getting blood from the organs, those organs I'm sure are gone. you know,
Yeah.
the spleen, the liver, those are how you get your toxicology reports. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you're going to get out of bone marrow.
Right. And Bryn, you are right. The keys were not in the vehicle when they found it, and they were not able to recover where the keys were. But the police were able to hotwire it, and the car was in perfect working condition. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Melissa.
How are you?
Oh, okay, so my theory is going to be totally sounding out there.
I love it.
All right, here's my thing. What if they were in some type of time warp type situation
Mm-hmm.
where that one guy with the heart attack had said that he could see them, but they didn't respond to him at all? And they couldn't get, like, he couldn't receive any messages from them, and they couldn't receive any messages from him. So then they ended up going in their time to the cabin.
So you're
But
talking about some sort of parallel universe that collided, and kind of a portal opened to where they were able to access one another, but they weren't able to actually communicate.
right, like they ended up at the cabin at a certain area at a certain time, where maybe the only thing that was there was actually the food that was there. And then when the food ended up coming at a different time than they were actually there. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me because I study a lot about that kind of stuff. Um, Kelly, okay, that's a good theory, but again, what brought them there? Oh no, we lost Steph. What brought them there to begin with? That I like the way you think, Jennifer, because parallel universes are around us all the time. You guys need to remember time is a man-made thing. Time doesn't exist.
See, that's what
Past,
I
future,
about.
and present is all happening simultaneously. So
Yeah,
scientists theorize that you can access. So say at that point when the when the Yuba County Five men were there, I think Jennifer's talking about they could have been accessing at a different point in time when those five men and a woman and baby were passing by. And for some reason, they collided and they were able to experience the same time, the same place, but a different time.
right. That's exactly what I'm
Sure,
saying.
Steph. It's so deep to try to like explain this to people, but I'm going to do a live one day and explain to you guys how time travel is actually possible and it's occurring everywhere around us right now. But it's, it's like a deep hole to try to go into. It's a lot of science. But put it this way, you guys, if a planet, a million light years away from us right now had an insanely large telescope and was able to look at Earth, do you know what they would see right now? They would see dinosaurs. Do you know why? Because light travels faster than, what's it called? It takes a long time for like a photo. It's so hard to explain. Right now, if they looked at our planet, they would see dinosaurs because it takes such a long time for like a photo to get somewhere. So technically, even though they're looking at a telescope right now, they're seeing something from our past. Obviously, we know dinosaurs aren't still roaming the earth, yet they're experiencing that in real time now. That's because time is all relative, depending on where you are. I know I did such a shitty job at explaining that, but I'll dedicate a live and exactly, Bryn. Every time you look at the stars, you are looking into the past. But go on, Jennifer. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just think that that's how, like, the psychics and everybody else who are sensitive can get in touch with the different levels. It, like, they can see your ancestors and everything else. I think it's very much like what the gentleman in the car with the heart attack had. He was able to see, for whatever reason, the different layers in time.
Absolutely. And I do believe that in different areas, whether it's a portal or a perfect magnetic shift, things are able to break open and you're able to access, whether it's different dimensions. When you look at a star that is 2 million light years away, you're looking into the past. Exactly. I did a shitty job at explaining it, but I'll get better, you guys. But I do believe that, just like you said, that's how, like, mediums or psychics, maybe that they're accessing a different dimension. And like I told you guys during my first live, we are 3-dimensional beings, yet there are confirmed 21 different dimensions at this point. So there is stuff happening all around us that we're not aware of, and we're just starting to get access to that and break open what really is the universe and what's going on. So I really think, some cases it just might be bizarre occurrences, but then there are other cases where I really think there's something beyond our understanding happening here.
Yeah, I just think that with all the different coincidences and everything else that took place in this situation, like, that's the only thing that I can think that would make sense, is that it happened in a parallel type situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you should go into the game. I love your name, by the way. But yeah, portals, like, all a portal really means is that it's a gateway, where you go in, like, you go in one way and you come out at a different place or time. I need a notebook for your lives. I wasn't planning on getting into the time travel thing tonight, but with cases like this, I understand what Jennifer means, because if you aren't aware that this kind of stuff has been proven you could look this up, you could do your own research, you wouldn't even realize that would be a possibility. Yet it is, as far and as strange out as Jennifer's theory sounds, it's actually very plausible. That kind of stuff is happening all the time. Just look at the Hadron Collider. Right now they're literally building black holes in a minute form, which would be the end of us. But it's crazy. Maybe the woman with the baby was part of it. Hold on, where'd your comment go? Maybe the woman with the baby was part of it. She probably told them she needed a ride, and the truck followed unbeknown to them. Okay, so from where? The gas station or whatever where they stopped for snacks?
Okay, Melissa Jade, I'm gonna hop off, hon. Have a great.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming up. I appreciate it. And I love the way you think, for real. Like, I'm so happy you came up and even talked about that.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Yes, Jet's mom, we are all spiritually connected. We all have the gifts, the veil is unlifting. And this is what I meant during my last live in regards to raising your consciousness, raising your vibrations. When we got a little bit into the reptilians, of course, Stephanie, when we got a bit into the reptilians and I started to explain to you guys that they feed off that negative energy, they want you to remain in that low vibrational field so that we can't raise our consciousness, raise our awareness. Got something in my eye. But yeah. Oh, I don't trust them running the Collider experiment either. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi, love. Okay,
Hello.
so I missed like the past.
Thank
3
you,
minutes.
Jennifer Gross.
Wait, is it just? Is there somebody else on too?
No, I'm just calling someone out in the comments.
Oh, okay. So did I miss anything?
Just Jennifer, who was throwing out a theory that perhaps it was a break in time where they were hello, Jet's mom.
Hey guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, she was just talking about perhaps the man who had a heart attack was accessing the same place but a different time. So those 5 men and a woman and a baby, perhaps they were there but at a different point in time, and some kind of portal opened up.
Okay, I got you. Is it?
Hi,
Okay,
Jet's mom. Welcome.
Okay, while we're
Hi,
on that,
thank you.
and because I know I think you're going to be open to this. Do you? Please don't think I'm crazy. But
Oh, I don't think anyone's
do
crazy.
you ever meditate to go into like the 5D?
Yes.
Oh, thank
I talk to my
God.
spirit guides.
I go into the 5D and I talk to like if like my because it's your higher self.
Mhm.
So I'm like I go talk to somebody like somebody that I love and I want to talk to their higher self, and because I'm not able to talk to them here, like if I'm feeling insecure about it, like I can release it to them in the 5D.
You know, you're talking about, it's interesting. Even if you're like mad at somebody, I mean, that's where I go. I mean,
Yeah, you can tell them
exactly where I go. You know, you can talk a bunch of spiritual texts throughout history, and you know, if you pray for somebody for 30 days when you're in an anger place, it generally works. You know, not always, but generally.
I was
Makes it
really,
better.
really, really angry with my ex because he started dating my brother's, well,
Oh,
my sister,
no.
no, not my brother, my brother's wife, her best
Still.
friend,
It's still
and they
very close.
right. So he gets married to her, so that means my sister-in-law's in the wedding, and my
Ugh,
brother is at all the
everything.
festivities. So it caused a rift in the family. Like my mom and my brother to this day do not have a very good relationship because of that.
Mm.
And
Sorry.
which is, I am way past it, but my brother doesn't like the way my mom handled it, and he's right. So anyway, that's another story. But what I started doing, because I was like, I've been putting myself through all this pain for a whole year. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I would start reading, and just every day when those thoughts would come up, I'd say, I'm sending Jeff and her, I'll call her Claire. I'm make up a name. I'm sending love and light and blessings to them, and I pray riches upon their life. And I just, just kept speaking love and light to them, and eventually your heart begins to soften.
Absolutely.
Well,
And then,
there's Project Stargate, which people don't realize that this is acknowledged by the government, and they practice ascension and projection, and they'll do experiments where they will lay someone down and they will write a random number in an envelope and place the envelope in a totally different room. And they will practice where this person lays there and leaves their body, like an out-of-body experience.
Astral projects it, right?
Right, astral projection. And they go over and they're able to read what number is in that sealed envelope in another room. Look up Project Stargate. There's so many different projects with the government. The same thing with, they'll bring people in, psychics, and they will ask them to go to a certain time and place, whether it's on a different planet, and communicate with beings during that time and come back. And the information that they come back with is completely accurate. You have to look into this stuff because it's very interesting.
Oh, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. One of the things that when I started really opening up this realm for myself, I would notice I'd go to sleep and I'd have this weird thing right before I'd fall asleep. And I don't know if you guys will resonate with this, where I would just fall asleep, and we're talking like seconds, but I would be inundated with a ton of information. Like,
You were
it's
downloaded.
like a download.
I'm on a different planet. I'm in a different place. I might be a man. I might be a totally different person, but I'm inundated with all this information. It kind of wakes you up a little bit when you're trying to go to sleep. But it's interesting because that's what I'm saying. When we're all connected, that was proof right there.
Yep.
Right there. We are all so. That's what I think that we're kind of waking up to.
They say we're in the awakening right now.
Yeah, we are currently in the awakening.
I think that, because think about this. Like, okay, I have been 29 for 11 years, and
you have the best life ever.
That was good.
And the reason I share that is, what this all my father committed suicide when I was young.
I'm so sorry.
And yeah, it was a very, very hard loss, but it created this thing inside me where I had to go through something pretty deep and heavy. And usually people that end up opening their eyes this early go through something, naturally. And I remember thinking, maybe 10, 15 years ago, gosh, there are things that I can say to my friends now that I could never have said 10 years ago.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
In a million years, about the spiritual stuff. People were not, you would sound like you were fucking nuts.
Yes. My mom used to tell me this stuff. She talked about Abraham Hicks. Don't know if you know who that Abraham Hicks is.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
And she would like tell me this stuff, and I'd be like, oh my God, Mom, I am not meditating. You have lost your damn mind. And then we went on a trip to Cleveland together because I live in Dayton, Ohio. She's like, let's just take a little trip to get away. And she brought over a brand new BMW, or not a BMW, excuse me, a Mercedes. And I was like, she goes, we're not taking your trashy car. And I said, oh, we're not. Mine's not good enough for you. She goes, no, it's not very classy.
Well, she's very bougie, Abraham Hicks.
Yeah, that's my mother. She's very bougie. Very bougie.
But you know what? I think it's a different time. Oh, sorry, Steph. Go on.
Oh, I was just going to finish my story. She goes, how do you think I got my Mercedes? She goes, I practiced law of attraction. That's all you got to do, baby.
Boom.
And you know what's crazy is I started doing law of attraction, and in 4 weeks I have an inheritance come to me that I had by somebody I'd never met.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I'm blessed. Yeah, I'm blessed. I mean, I'm not going to be a millionaire tomorrow or anything.
Anything helps.
But anything helps. I need a new car. I'm planning my channel, and so now I can get the computer and the equipment I need.
Yes.
So all that stuff is real.
I love it, Jennifer.
But Jennifer, this is Jennifer. Who's on? This is Jennifer.
No,
that's on-
in the comments. I'm talking about comments.
Oh, but I
Oh,
can't see
that's
who's.
fine. My name's Margie. I'm totally gonna dox myself. I don't care.
No, I remember seeing you back when the whole Brittany thing went down, and then on Crafton's, and then Natasha's. So I've seen and Robbie's, I think too. So I've seen you for a while, actually.
Oh,
Margie. Where are you from, Margie?
I'm from California.
Oh, the love
Nice.
of my life was in California.
You
know
were
what?
saying something really interesting about the law of attraction, and there was something that happened with my life when I saw a huge miracle happen, and it was interesting. I had someone she's one of my spiritual, very good friends, people I go to.
Uh-huh.
And she said, the universe wants us all abundant.
Yes.
And it was so interesting when that kind of resonated. If we all step into that abundance, it's true. And abundance is different to everybody. I mean, abundance to one person could be getting your bills paid this month.
Yeah.
Or getting a Mercedes or, an inheritance. I mean, abundance looks different and feels different. But when you look at cultures around the world, a lot of very, very, very earth-centered cultures that may not even be about materialistic things, that abundance that they carry within their hearts and their souls, it's so profound. And I think that's what we kind of got lost in our society recently.
Well, we've been trained since birth to suppress these gifts, to not even acknowledge it, to laugh at anybody who even, like you get called crazy if you even mention something like that. But I feel like a huge tidal, a change in the tide recently. I don't know if it's just with the newer generations and technology, but what was I gonna say? Like, it was really, like everyone always just called this voodoo, or you're so spiritual, like what. It was really the science that broke it down for me, because I started falling in love with science like 8 years ago, and I started, just looking up Einstein's theory of relativity, this and that.
I love it.
I love you,
real.
Really.
I would go to bed listening to it, but I kid you not, that's when I started to realize, because it was always between faith versus science. They were never the same. But I realized,
they're so connected. They're so connected. I knew in our lifetime we would define, because that's I said this. So I have a big issue with a lot of Western medicine, and long story short, I knew in my lifetime that I would see a connection between spirituality and science. I would see it. I knew
a massive
we're talking about. Like I've felt this coming for a long time. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, because like I said, anyone else, like if you came to me, at a different point in my life and started talking about, well, maybe it was a portal and time travel, before I understood it, I would have thought you were crazy. Then when I realized what time travel actually means, and it's not like, oh, like I'm just going to come back and I'm going to, tell my younger self not to do this or something. No, that's not how it works. But time travel is occurring all around us right now at the same time. Time is relative. And once you start to understand that starts to open up all these other possibilities, because you don't need to think of a fantasy story or, how cool. Dude, things that are happening right now and occur is a phenomenon in themselves, and it's mind-blowing and it's amazing. And also, I really love to use the science, because you also can narrow down, okay, well, this is explainable now in our current day, but it wasn't explainable back then. But there's still a bunch of things that we don't have the answers for. And like I said the last live, you could call it God, Buddha, Allah, whatever. There's got to be a higher power just in general, because it's amazing, and it opened up. I don't like to use the term woke, but it woke me. It woke me the hell up, man. And it's been amazing since. It's been a real amazing journey.
I had a psychic. Nice, like, I guess he's a tarot card reader. He's like, oh, I'm just a reader. I'm a reader. And I said something about Jesus being my Lord and Savior.
Absolutely.
And he said, you can't have it both ways. I go, what do you mean? Yeah. I go, what do you mean? He goes, Jesus, this is against all Christian beliefs.
Absolutely.
You got to pick a side. And I'm like, he goes, this is, this is a religion, and they are an opposite religion. I go,
Mhm.
I can love God no matter what I'm doing. I could
Yeah.
be prostituting and still be loving Jesus.
Bazinga.
That
I said,
comment right there.
and I'm a Buddha person. I love the teachings of Buddha.
Oh, I think a lot of us that are more metaphysically focused, the Buddha philosophy, the Buddhist philosophy really does work well in many areas. But see, I'm not gonna lie, like, Jesus is my man. He's my main person. Like I have Mother Mary, I have Jesus, I have them every room in my house. I mean, you think I'm Catholic because I swear, like I'm weird like that. But that's because I'm attached to that energy. And I'll tell you why. I was about 2 years old. I never went to church. We never went to church. We weren't, I didn't even know who Jesus was. I had this really beautiful energy come into my room and pick me up out of my bed. I'm not even kidding you. This is a true story. Pick me up out of my bed. I'm very, very young and I'm going through a really hard time in life. And he picked me up and it was definitely Jesus, like Christ light energy. And it was Jesus. And
Nobody can tell you that it wasn't.
I know it, and
Yeah.
I knew it, and then we started going to church. I told my mom I wanted to go do this. I wanted to find this Jesus person. I don't know if I said it like that. Who knows what I said? But we ended up going, and I didn't like church. I liked the music, I liked the sound, I liked the feeling, but I didn't like the rest of it. It was nothing that I had felt before. And there's avatar energy, and then there's organized religion. And yes, there's beautiful things with organized religion. We can gain a lot from it, but I don't think it's for everybody.
Organized with the church that I went to. I married a music minister, and I was like a Pentecostal church. It wasn't like the big hair, you can't wear pants kind of church, but I was a very judgmental person, and it made my hard heart, and me as the true me. I love people. I want to love. That's why I became a nurse. Like I want to love and make things better for people.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what
You're a healer.
that's what my channel is going to be about, is
Yeah.
helping parents through crisis when they have a mentally ill child.
Mhm.
And so if you have any friends that are families that are going through difficulties with mentally ill, either children and adult children, and then my
Parents.
daughter,
Yeah.
I'm going to bring her in. She wants to be in now, but I just think that she needs a little more time to grow before I put her on, because she wants to come as
Absolutely break the silence.
she wants to be the I'm coming as a parental, what it was like raising a mentally ill person and still
Mhm.
have to deal with it, and she's coming in as the patient, what it was like to live in her brain.
That could be really profound, though, if
Yes.
you guys collaborated that together as mother and daughter and watching that healing process. I mean,
Yes, and I absolutely, and I was ready to
when
put
the
her
time
on,
is right.
except, well, I don't even, Melissa, you know that I went to Delphi.
Mhm.
Ooh, I love
We
Delphi.
had the most incredible time together. We bonded like that more than we had in years. And when the next night I got home, she took 120 units of insulin to kill herself.
Oh.
What?
That was on Sunday after we got back.
From Greece?
No, we went to Delphi, Indiana.
Sorry.
To the Delphi, because she's really into true crime as well.
Got it.
And so because of that, I want to make sure that she is stable, because like trolls coming in. She's
Right.
very good at helping others with her story, but I'm concerned about others coming in and being mean to her. I don't know how well she'll handle that.
It's
So,
hard.
It is hard. And, you think, I thought she was in a great place. I was shocked when I got the call. I mean, 120 units insulin, that's like, I don't know how she's alive today. That is a serious statement.
Yeah.
So anyway,
We're blessed that
I don't want to bring things down, but that's kind of way. I'll bring
Yeah.
her in when I feel led to. But
Absolutely.
I'm gonna start it off with me.
May I ask you, with her, is it a personality disorder that she's diagnosed with, or is
She was well. It started when she was 8, and so back then, obviously, they won't really give you
diagnosed
major
you?
diagnosis. So they gave her major depression with psychosis,
Mm.
and then borderline personality
Yeah.
traits. Not they wouldn't give her the disorder. They said traits. So when she was 18, then she was diagnosed with bipolar 1 and 2, and
Mhm.
then borderline personality traits.
And you're also very connected and spiritual and intuitive, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And that's she always says, everybody, to me, I think
Oh,
all this
is she in her 20s? She's about 26?
25.
Yeah, I can feel that. And I don't know you, by the way, but I felt that it's
Are
she's
you?
in a hard spot,
Yeah, she is. But
and she's gonna be okay. You just gotta, like, this is not the same age that we all grew up in.
oh, I know. And then she's diabetic, and her heart has a heart condition, and she knows she's dying from. So it's just, that's a lot of pressure on a kid,
Mm-hmm.
She never got to have a real life. She doesn't get to work a job. She doesn't get to have children. She doesn't, although she is going to get married. So,
Oh, that's nice.
They told me I couldn't have children.
well, she can't. She's not going to live. So it would be so unfair for her to have a baby and then die when the baby's 2 years old.
Because of her diabetes?
The diabetes. Well, the diabetes
Or
affects the
is it like
cardiovascular system.
is it CH, was it congenital heart disease?
No, she has ruined the her cardiovascular system in her legs, the nerve endings for all
Got it.
the high blood sugars, and it's not repairable. But she's been.
I'll
I
tell
mean,
you what,
they
though,
said she
God
lived
works
to.
very mysteriously, even if you don't
He
want
does,
to.
and that's what I tell her. I said, "Baby, you're so mean." I'm like, "You'll probably live longer than me." And she laughs because they told her she lived till she was.
They told her how old she would live to?
He said they will not be good if you don't get it together. Of course, she never did get it together. But
I'm sorry, it cut out. I didn't hear that part.
they said when she was 18, we found out about the heart. We found out why she was passing out all the time. I had to give her 24-hour care, and then she went to the nursing home for about 9 months because she knew she had to be.
Steph, you keep cutting out. Amanda, I would love to hear like what stories you have, because that's fascinating.
Mhm.
Energy is the one thing that cannot be created nor destroyed. So that makes you wonder not just what happens when you die, but like, where does your energy go? And just to go back to your comment way before, you should have just went to the game, Chris. Well, that's the thing with time travel. You can't go back. And what if you go back or go into the future? Okay, say you jumped into the future, or you go into the past and you kill your grandfather. Well, that would prevent you from ever existing, and it doesn't work like that. But that's a whole different discussion.
I love that discussion, by the way. I cannot wait to have that with you.
Yeah, like, it's hard to, like, and I totally respect Jennifer bringing it up because that was something that was on my mind. But it's hard to even start to throw out that as a theory for people who have never even
Am
gotten
I still?
into it. Oh, now we could hear you, Steph. But it's just, like, there are laws that you can't break, and it's so fascinating and so interesting. But yeah, Amanda, that sounded really awesome. I love physics. And I would love to, I'm sure you have.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we could hear you, Steph. I'm sure you have lots of stories, and I would love to hear about it.
Have you looked at they talk about the infinity sign, right? Like, remember when you're a kid, you're like, I love you to infinity because it's the biggest number you can give you. I love you more. You can't, I love you more. if you think about that, the infinity sign, that right there is time travel. Like, that is literally, that's the loop.
Yeah.
That's the connection. It's
Well, you have to
is
stop thinking of time as a fixed thing because it's
a linear,
not.
as linear. Exactly.
Right.
We have a lot more control, but we don't at the same time.
Well, that's why they talk about, you know, the multi-dimension theory, which is a multiverse, which is really plausible, meaning that, and exactly what Amanda just said, what doesn't work out here, great, it could work out great in another place. So right now, say we're going to keep this live stream going. Right now, there's an identical universe where I've made every single exact same decision up until I decide to end the broadcast in that universe. So an infinite amount of possibilities, every possible which way you could choose or turn is all occurring simultaneously. And that's why you could sometimes get that feeling of deja vu, like, I've been here before, or I've done this, or this feels eerily similar. It's because it is going on simultaneously and happening right now, just in a different place.
If it's okay, I'd say I want people to push a 1 if you have deja vu on at least, a weekly basis, if not every day. Because I do. I have a deja vu thing that happens daily.
Oh yeah, I always get, like it kind of stuff. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it kind of stops you in your track, and you're like, I don't know what exactly is making me stop. I don't know if it's a smell, if it's a feeling, if I see something, but something makes me feel like I've been here before.
It's that pause. It's that fun. It's the internal pause where you sit there and you're like, whoa. It's a feeling. It's almost, and I think that's exactly what you're describing, is that multiverse. And it's funny, my son's he's in 4th grade, so they're studying planets, right?
Oh, I love it. I'm still studying planets.
And so they're talking about, some people will say it's called Uranus, but I always called it Uranus anyways.
I always called it Uranus, but it's Uranus.
And I remember I had this really this super vivid dream when I was studying planets about his age, that I'm in a little spaceship with my little buddies from my class. We literally land in our spaceship into our own classroom in Uranus, whatever. And it's literally a multiverse. And it told me all about multiverse, like right then and there. And we're all sitting there, and I was like, oh, there's all, so that I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I'm sitting here like pondering this. It was so real. Because it is true. And then that's when I started realizing those little dreams that I had right before I went to sleep, those little visions that I'd see, that's what it is.
Yep.
There's different connections, and there's different things that are taking place at different times. I do believe in the reincarnation aspect of energy.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what we were discussing during the last live, different instances where it's usually children who are able to recall it, whether they're closest to, coming into this world, like they always have these memories, and it's usually in a tragic way that they passed in their past life, but they're able to recall things that it's not possible for them to recall. But after the age of 8, it's not so much that they can't remember it so much, they don't gain new memories. But it's bizarre, and I'll definitely dedicate a live specifically to go into those cases, because it's just how. But like I said before, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So even after we die, that energy, and you have to realize it's a thing. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. No, you have an energy to you, and it has to go somewhere.
Do you know that when you die, you lose like so many ounces out of your body when the soul leaves?
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, they did this experiment in the 20s about it. It's pretty cool.
When I worked, I did training in nursing school at hospice, and I was like, can we really test that theory? And they're like, absolutely. And sure enough, I was like amazed by that. I was like, wow, I can actually tell people that I proved that actually happens. But you do, it's like, I don't know, 1.8 pounds or something. I mean, it's something. It's not like a 0.042 pounds, it's like a real number. is
Oh, I thought it
one
was.
time
I don't know. I
I
remember them talking about this a while. That's amazing that you actually saw it, though. I've never heard of anybody
yeah,
seeing it in my day and age.
yes.
Yes, Ginger,
I
there
saw
is
a lot
DNA
of
memory.
things. I
Absolutely.
saw a lot of things, but one thing that was pretty amazing, because my grandmother was very spiritual, and I can remember as a kid, she was a holy roller, a Pentecostal, and
Mhm.
she'd get to shaking and hollering, but she would see
Pocket tongue.
spirits and cast them out. Okay, yeah, and so like I grew up, that was normal for me. However, in my mom's house, she's like, don't you ever do that, what your grandma does and all this stuff. And my grandma would say, it's okay if you do, just don't tell your mom. Well, one day my daughter, she's probably 3 or 4, she goes, it was me, my daughter, and my mother getting we were getting her ready one morning, and she goes, hey grandma, do you remember when I used to be your mom, and you used to be my, and mom used to be my mom? And I was like, oh my god, I wonder if we're like soul tribes, like like we're in the same tribe, somewhere. Because like I think that you do have people that you stay, that you meet again, and like she remembered it like it was yesterday, like
Aw.
so matter of fact. It
That's
was,
amazing.
and I think people like Brittany that do have bipolar and have these things, I think they have a higher vibration than we do. And I think
Yes.
it's just harder for them to live in a box. The, like in a
Are you
square
talking?
box.
Are you back to your daughter?
Yeah.
There
She
is
can't.
something to be said. I told you that's kind of where I was heading to this. Exactly what you're saying. I think that most people come into their own spiritually about 33 and 35. There's just something that happens. It's like the body's ready. And
Yeah.
the 20s these days are really, really hard on people. Really hard. Worse than it was with me. And you couldn't pay me $1 million to go back to my 20s.
Break the silence. I'm gonna try to figure out a regular schedule. I'm just trying to figure out the groove of things now. But I'll definitely keep you guys posted. I'm actually gonna have to get off here in a minute though, but I appreciate both of you guys coming up, and I really do look forward,
Thank
and
you
I
so
hope you
much.
guys come up again. I would love to dive deep into these discussions. I just don't want to clash with other creators with their lives going on.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
I'm trying to be respectful. But I definitely, I'm definitely gonna be dedicating specific lives to this stuff, and I would love to have you come on, and both of you, and to go deep into this, because you guys are both very knowledgeable about it, and I really enjoy discussing it.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I
Oh,
want you
you're
guys,
so beautiful.
just
Oh,
because you guys
please.
don't have anybody in your family that has mental illness, I still want you guys to come to my channel and support me, because and spread the word, because everybody has a family that has struggling with kids. So, and usually with kids, it comes out like uh, mental illness comes out as just bad behavior as a child.
Absolutely.
So anyway, you guys have an awesome night, and send you lots of love and light.
Yeah,
Love and light,
lots of
guys.
love,
Thank you for
Namaste,
having me
all.
up.
Mwah.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Mwah.
Namaste. Bye, everyone.
Bye, ya.
Bye. Thank
Namaste.